Greek and Roman culture were the backbone of Western civilization. Their influences continue to be seen in most of our cultures today. But do you know that despite their apparent similarities, the two cultures were fundamentally different beneath the surface? To quote from the Roman poet Horace, "Captive Greece captured her fierce conqueror and carried the arts into Roman soil." Horace's pointed observation shows that even Rome's own writers saw Greek culture as something fundamentally other, admired, imported, yet never fully the same as Rome's martial, pragmatic ethos. Hence, to lump them together under the single umbrella of Western civilization really is a historical sleight of hand. Here are the few points where Roman and Greek cultures were different from one another in the geopolitical and economical points of view. The classical Greek civilization, originating from the Greek peninsula, excelled as skilled traders and colonizers. Much like the Phoenicians, they leveraged their superior naval power to establish numerous colonies across the Mediterranean via sea routes, even before the conquests of Alexander the Great. These colonies included Miletus, where philosophers like Heraclitus developed early ideas; Sicily, where Pythagoras formulated his theorem; Magna Graecia in Italy; Chersonesus in modern-day Crimea; Massalia in modern-day France; and Cyrene in North Africa. Far from being mere settlements, these outposts served as vital trade hubs that strengthened Greek maritime influence and fostering extensive trade networks that brought wealth to their city-states. Unlike later military campaigns, Greek expansion before Alexander focused primarily on economic goals, trade and settlement, rather than military dominance. In contrast, the Romans emerged as a land-based civilization with a formidable infantry. They also have territorial ambition that is not primarily driven by colonialism, but rather pure desire for dominance in resource acquisition and strategic control. From their early history, they pursued military conquest, beginning with the subjugation of neighboring Latin tribes and eventually extending their empire across present-day Britain, North Africa, the Middle East, and beyond at its peak. Surrounded by rival tribes and states, the Romans regarded these territories as threats and conquered them to establish buffer zones for their own security. Naturally, these conquests also yielded significant economic rewards, including slaves, loot, and fertile farmland, as well as long-term benefits like tribute from provinces. The wealth and resources gained from these victories fueled further Roman expansion, blending geopolitical strategy with economic ambition. Before the rise of Alexander the Great, the political system of the ancient Greeks was formulated on the decentralized system polis, or the city-state. Each polis was an independent political unit with their own laws and forms of government. The best-known examples are Athens and Sparta, which developed two extreme ends of different political systems. Athens was renowned for being the birthplace of democracy, while Sparta was a highly militarized society with dual monarchical structure. Another fact, Athens was not the only democracy in ancient Greece. There were at least a dozen of Greek cities, such as Corinth, that practiced the same democratic polity as Athens. In essence, the Greeks valued individualism and independence of individual states. This fragmentation often led to conflicts among the city-states, preventing the emergence of a unified Greek state until the time of Macedonian Empire. In contrast to the diverse and decentralized structure of the Greek city-states, Rome evolved into a vast empire via a centralized administration. Although Rome's political system underwent transformation from a republic to an empire, it consistently emphasized the primacy of Roman authority, which is centered on the eternal city. While Greek city-states operated largely independently, Rome established a complex and hierarchical administrative system to govern its expansive territories. A top-down structure of provincial governance that managed local affairs, an extensive road network facilitated rapid communication, and a uniform legal code called the Roman law was enforced across the empire. The Greek economy was mainly based on the maritime trade between the various cities and their colonies. Cities such as Athens and Corinth became important trading centers in the Eastern Mediterranean. Due to the dominance of Athenian maritime empire, the Athenian drachma became a kind of reserve currency in the Eastern Mediterranean. But essentially, each cities and colonies minted their own coinage with few exceptions. The Roman economic system, on the other hand, was more centralized and focused on the entire empire. The Romans built a network of roads that not only served military purposes, but also facilitated trade within the empire. The conquering of the neighboring nations served further to extend the Roman economic interest. Furthermore, the Romans standardized the currency system in their empire. The denarius became the standard currency and facilitated trade throughout the empire. As a centralized and efficient state, Rome invested heavily in civil and military infrastructure. The Romans constructed an extensive network of roads, aqueducts, and ports that connected their empire. This infrastructure was a key factor in Rome's economic integration and efficiency. Greece, while renowned for architectural marvels like the Parthenon, but they did not prioritize such widespread and centrally planned infrastructure. Greek city-states building projects focused more on local needs rather than empire-wide connectivity. In essence, the geopolitical and economic differences between Roman and Greek cultures was far greater than we thought. The classical Greece was a collection of independent, trade-oriented city-states with limited territorial unity, while Rome was a centralized and hierarchical state with uniform set of legal code. But yet both civilizations contributed much to the world. Now that's all for now. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. In the next video, we shall explore further the differences between Roman and Greek culture in social and philosophical aspects.